All right, 11.5, volume of pyramids and cone. So we just talked about this. The volume of a pyramid or cone formula is going to be the same one we had yesterday, but you're going to times it by 1/3. Now the big B is the volume formula that most textbooks and everything uses, but remember I like to use big A instead, meaning area. Okay, it's the area of the bottom times the height of your pyramid or the height of your cone. Okay? Now, yesterday a lot of people were wondering what area formulas do we need to know? The area formulas you need to know a circle, which is pi r squared. You need to know a rectangle / a square, which is base times height. You need to know a triangle, which is 1/2 base times height. And a lot of you came across this yesterday. Your base and your height of a right triangle are like A and B sides. Okay? And then the last one you need to know is that of a polygon, which is 1/2 A and S. Okay, so those are the four from the 12 or so you needed to know last chapter. These are the only four that you'll see on the test. Okay? So if you know those four, you'll be good for the test. Okay? And then refer back to this as you're doing your homework to help get these formulas in your head. So, we're going to skip this first one. We're going to jump to the two that have pictures. So for this one, it says the height of the pyramid below is 14. So the height of this pyramid is 14. Okay? It is a pyramid. So your volume is going to be 1/3 base times height, because the base is a rectangle / square, so my area formula gets replaced with base times height. Okay, so I replaced my area formula with the area formulas we wrote above for a square is base times height. So now we're going to plug in what we know. Volume is 1/3 9 times 9 times 14. When you multiply that, you get 378. Okay? When you type in 1/3, just do 1 divided by 3 and then hit times 9 times 9 times 14. Okay? You can just plug it straight in as 1 divided by 3 and you'll get the correct answer. All right, we're going to do the next one now. What is the base of the next one? The base is a circle. So your volume formula is going to be 1/3. Your area of your base then is pi r squared times your height. My radius is 7. I know that. What's my height? It's not 18. Good. You have to do the Pythagorean theorem. So you have to do the Pythagorean theorem on this one. So you do 7 squared plus whatever your height is squared needs to equal 18 squared. So this is 49 plus h squared equals 18 squared is 324. You'd subtract 49. H squared then equals 275. So what do you have to do to that? How do you get rid of a square? Square root. When you square root that, you get 16.6 for your height. So your height here is 16.6. So now that we have what we need, now we have our height and our radius, we're going to plug that in. We have 1/3 pi times 7 squared times 16.6. And be careful of that because it's very common for them to give you the slant height and then you have to find the regular height or vice versa. Okay, it's very common. So we have 1/3 times, I'm going to use 3.14 for pi, times 49, because that's 7 squared, times 16.6, gets me 851.4. as my volume. Now, it doesn't always happen that they give you the slant height. If they put it in here next to this line and say that's 18, you can just plug it in right away. Okay, so you have to analyze those ones a little bit to know if they gave you regular height or slant height. I think most of them today give you regular height. Questions on the ones where you're just plugging in? Let's jump down to these ones where you have to solve for x. Okay, so on these ones, you're going to write your formula down, you're going to plug in what you know, and then you're going to solve for x. So we have a pyramid here. The base is a pentagon. So when your base is a pentagon, that's where you use that polygon formula, the 1/2 ANS. So the volume of this would be 1/3 times 1/2 ANS times the height of your prism. So this one's pretty complicated. It has a lot to it. So now I'm going to plug in what I know. I know my volume is 2,283.3. So 2,283.3 equals 1/3 times 1/2. My apothem is this length right here, this 13.7. Okay. N is the number of sides on my bottom. So the number of sides here is what? 5. And then S is the length of each of those sides, and that's what I'm missing. I'm missing the length of my sides, so I'm going to call that X. And then 10 is the height of my shape. Then what you're going to do is you're going to multiply all of the numbers on this side together. So I'm going to multiply 1/3 times 1/2 times 13.7 times 5 times 10 and get an answer. So from that, I get 2,283.3 equals 114.16, and then the 6 gets repeated a lot, times x. So then I'm going to divide by that. To find what x is. So I get 2,283, which gets me 19.999. So what is that? 20. So 20 would be your side length. I want you to try this square one on your own. I know it looks the same size, but I changed what x was. Okay, so it's not the same size as the one we had before. So I want you to try this orange one on your own and see how it goes. So for this one, volume equals 1/3. Your base is a square, so your area formula would be base times height times the height of your figure. So your volume is 135. That's going to equal 1/3, 9 times 9 times x, because x is your missing height. So that's 135 equals 27x, and then you would divide by 27 to get x is 5. Okay. The one thing I want to mention with this is remember whether your shape is straight up and down or tilted to the side, it has the same volume. Okay? So your height here is 18. Even though it's off to the side, 18 is still your height. Your radius is still 9. And you would plug it into your formula just like normal. Okay? So just know that in this case, your height would be 18. Okay? Then it says you have a composite shape here. So remember, composite shape is when shapes are either put together or one is inside of the other. So when you look at this, these are put together, correct? So you would add them. What if one is inside of the other? What do you do then? You subtract them. Okay? We are just going to do the adding one because last hour said they didn't feel like they needed another one. Okay? So we're just going to do this one. So this one, it has 2 cones and then the cylinder in between. One thing I want to point out, this bottom cone has a height of 40. This has a height of 35. This is 70, meaning this is not 40, this is 35. And so this height here is 35. Okay, you're not going to see one like this where you have to find the height, but just know because it's 35 plus 35, well that equals 70, and then they told you this one was 40. Okay, so now we're going to start finding the volumes. Okay, so we're going to have 3 volume functions that we need to find. Once we find them, we're going to add this all up to find our total volume. So for this, your volume, it's a cone, so it'd be 1/3. The area of the bottom is pi r squared. It's a circle times your height. The volume of your cylinder is just pi r squared times your height. Okay? It's not 1/3. Okay? The only time you do times 1/3 is when you have tips. So pyramids have tips, cones have tips. Cylinders do not have tips. Okay, so it's just plain. It's pi r squared h. And then the bottom has a tip, so it's 1/3 pi r squared h. So now I'm going to plug in what I know for each of these. Okay, for the top one, my radius is 21. My height is 35. So I would do 1/3 pi times 21 squared times 35. For my cylinder, my radius is again 21. My height is again 35, but this one's not times 1/3. So it'd be pi 21 squared. I'll put my parentheses in the wrong spot. Let's fix that. All right, so pi times 21 squared times 35. The height of that one's still 35. And the last one, the radius is also 21. But the height of that one is 40. Okay, so I wrote my formulas down. After I did that, then I started plugging stuff in. So now if I figure that out, the first one, oops. Is 16155.3. Okay. Your middle one is 48465.9. And your bottom one is 18463.2. And then your final step is to add that up. Gets you 83,084.4. Okay, so you find the volume of each part, Add them up, gets you your answer. So your assignment is the 11.5 worksheet. Okay, you have the rest of the hour to work on that.